All right, I'm going to cut across to Lavina Tandon. Lavina, please take us through the UK court's judgment. The UK court, one after the other, quashes Nirav Modi's defense, saying that he's absolutely fit. In fact, the Arthur Road jail in Mumbai is absolutely fit for Nirav Modi to be imprisoned. Mental health cannot be a concern. There's enough evidence for him to be extradited, and now the announcement has finally come about.
Indeed, it is a long wait, but the verdict is now here. Samuel Gose, the district judge, took a while to read the entire judgment. Nirav Modi appeared via video link from Wandsworth prison. He had a long beard, salt and pepper beard. He looked solemn as expected, but because he would have known before what is going to happen. He has been in this prison since 20th of March 2019. Now, judge has found a straight prima facie case against Nirav Modi, and he has said that there is definitely a hand in glove that happened between the bank, Nirav Modi and Nihal Modi, and they were all clearly connected. He put down the argument of mental health and prison. He upheld the Indian judiciary and said he has no way to doubt the impartiality of Indian judiciary. All the politicians to be trying to, because it was said that this was a witch hunt. It was argued by the defense that this is a witch hunt and he will be treated unfairly. So on unfair trial, on prison conditions, on human rights, on mental health, all these points are arguments of the defense was turned down by the UK court. And therefore, his extradition has been ordered. What happens now is that it goes on the table of the Home Secretary, who has to sign it and ratify it. And then, of course, there is still legal course available for Nirav Modi, and that is the Court of Appeal.
Sure. You did mention the Court of Appeal. I'd like to ask you the options that is before Nirav Modi right now. This has been a 2-year-long battle, finally with the court announcing his extradition. What options before Nirav Modi for him?
So now he has an option. First, this entire order has to be ratified to be implemented, which means that it is on the table. It will be on the table of Preeti Patel, the Home Secretary. At this stage, Nirav Modi can send further representations to the Home Secretary, asking her to reconsider this verdict. If she does not and signs it and gives a go-ahead, then there are 28 days for him to be returned. Or, in the meantime, he can also appeal and challenge this order in the appeals court and on a point of law. So there has to be, he has to find a flaw in the law as to why this judgment can be challenged in the appeal court. And once he does that, if the appeal court does not accept, then a 2-judge bench he can ask for permission to appeal in the Supreme Court. And this is usually done on papers, or an oral hearing is ordered at the max. And this is a two judges who take judgment on whether the permission can be granted to appeal. All this was done in Vijay Mallya's case as well, but everything was rejected. And already we have seen that there is Bookie Sanjeev Chawla's extradition happened. So we can say there is a turning page in the extradition history between India and UK, and Nirav Modi is yet another case.
Right. I'd like you to take us through the observings of the court here, Lavina. The court has very clearly said there is no evidence that if extradited, Nirav Modi will not get justice. This, of course, Nirav Modi has been appealing, claiming human rights violation, speaking of mental health, saying that he doesn't feel safe in India in that particular prison. Here the court says that now him being extradited does not mean it will infringe upon his rights.
Court has completely turned down any argument on impartial or unfair trial that Nirav Modi could have in India, that he is not unfit mentally to travel, that he's a suicidal risk, that the Indian court is not going to give him a fair trial, that the politicians will undergo a witch hunt for him, and every other argument from prison to human rights, to mental conditions, and and a fair trial. Everything was turned down that defense had put forth. This was a very strong, clear judgment that there was fishy in the fishy manner. The entire LOUs and money was raised for feeding their own companies, and it was not done. Of course, this is only a prima facie case. So he's clearly found a prima facie case of fraud, money laundering, and tempering of evidence, as well as intimidating the witnesses, which were the 4 charges. So he has ruled on all of them, saying that he's absolutely fit to be taken to India and tried in the courts. And he has no doubt of the assurances given by the government of India on prison and on the court on giving him a fair trial.
Right. Here we're looking at even family members of Nirav Modi, who is now under scanner. His brother Nihal Modi as well, who's the co-accused in this case. He's also run into the law in the United States on another case as well. Mehul Choksi as well, who's also still currently absconding, seeking refuge in another country. What are the implications of Nirav Modi's extradition now on his family members and the co-accused? Would you be able to elaborate, Lavina?
There definitely should be, because there were few mentions and 3 times almost, if I remember right, that the judge mentioned that there is a clear link between Nirav Modi, Nihal Modi, Shetty and Joshi, and one more, Mihir, who have come together with the PNB officials to orchestrate this entire fraud. So there has to be a spillover. This is a UK court, and the judgment of which will be taken seriously and should be taken seriously by other jurisdictions.
Right. In fact, Lavina, do stay with us. We have some more information coming in. In fact, the magistrate's court ruling here will be sent back home to UK Home Secretary Preeti Patil for eventually a sign-off, with the possibility of appeals in the High Court on either side, depending on the outcome. If you can elaborate what this process is going to be further.
Sure. Now, the verdict, or the extradition order, as it is called, will go on the death of Preeti Patel, who is the Home Secretary, the first Indian origin Home Secretary of the UK. At this stage, Nirav Modi's lawyers and legal team can send representation requesting her to reconsider the extradition order. If she does not reconsider and signs it, it is only then that the order can be implemented, and they have a few weeks to do that. But in these few weeks, Nirav Modi can knock the doors of Court of Appeal on a case of law. And once he does that, it is the case of appeal who decides whether this case validates to be reopened on the certain case of law on which he has challenged. By this, I mean that they could say that there is no prima facie case, or that there is a mental issue. So all the various on the point of law, this case can be reopened, but that has to be first given permission to do so. If the appeals court rejects it, then he has to seek permission to open this court in the Supreme Court. This is done on the paper level, or maximum the 2 judges who sit on this permission to appeal can ask for an oral hearing. If it is rejected, then the case, of course, stands that UK, all the legal doors of UK are closed on Nirav Modi. That happened with Vijay Mallya as well. He knocked all the doors, and the extradition which was given by this court stands final in Mr. Vijay Mallya's case as well. So it is an extremely important judgment. In the last case, we have seen that this was upheld by the High Court in UK.
Right. Lavina, the most prominent, pertinent question here is, how would this also implicate Vijay Mallya eventually? In the long run, we're looking at Vijay Mallya also fighting an extradition case, which the Indian government has been pressing. But he, unlike Nirav Modi, is a free man in London. He's moving about. He's attending the court proceedings. In fact, very recently, in May, he even lost out right before court. But yet the case is on. There's really no standing on what exactly is going to happen to Vijay Mallya and his extradition case. Will this have a ripple effect?
Vijay Mallya has already been extradited. He has knocked on all the doors that I mentioned in the case of Nirav Modi, the options available, and all the doors from High Court to permission to appeal, all the doors have rejected the extradition request given by the Westminster Magistrate Court in his case to be reverted. So, on the count of extradition, Vijay Mallya should be taken back to India. But he is able to stay here in the UK because he has filed for political asylum. This application is confidential, and that it is not disclosed by the government in UK, and which is why Vijay Mallya still happens to be in UK despite the fact that his extradition has been ordered and he has exhausted all avenues to revert the extradition order given by Westminster Magistrate Court, which is why I say that this order is quite significant. And once given by the court, we have seen precedent in the case of Vijay Mallya that it is not usually reverted. And in the case of Nirav Modi, it is even more sure that I'm quite sure that this order will not be reverted. The reason being that he has been in jail since 20th of March 2019, Wandsworth Prison, and all his bail applications, 7 of all, if I remember right, have been rejected. So the evidence against him is very strong. The judge thinks there is a prima facie case. So the only alternative that he has really is to apply for political asylum, maybe. But then in that case also, it is it's quite bleak that they will consider this. They will have to consider the application, but consider giving him the asylum because he has been in jail all the while. So it is, in the case of Nirav Modi, a very final kind of judgment that I feel. But of course, he has time. It is not saying that he will be sent back to India in the next 28 days. He can definitely appeal and therefore stay in the prison here in the UK.
Right. When you mentioned political asylum that Vijay Mallya has sought, would you see or foresee Nirav Modi taking those footsteps as well?
It is very possible that he can, or he already has. But because this is a confidential information that is not given out to people, to journalists. But as I mentioned, it is very difficult. I see it's quite difficult for his application to be seriously considered because he's in jail. And he has not been given bail even by this court or the High Court. So he might as well buy time with political asylum or knocking the doors against this extradition order. But I don't think he will get very far. But having said that, may I please say, if he really needs to buy time, that he will first go through the entire legal process of challenging and get this extradition order and getting rejected. And thereafter, I think to buy more time, he might apply for political asylum.
All right, here we're looking at the prima facie case of the CBI in India established and accepted in the United Kingdom, with the court saying that there is really no reason for him not to be extradited and there's satisfactory evidence that he has committed a crime. If you could quickly take us through, any family members of Nirav Modi, are they present there? Did you see anyone actually standing by him? How does he look? Did he appear? Was he brought to court himself? What was the body language like? Were family members there to support him? A little on that, Lovina.
No, Nirav Modi was not brought to the court. He joined via video link from Wandsworth Prison. He had long beard, salt and pepper. He, of course, wore a black jacket and looked quite solemn because he would have known. He was straight-faced, having said that. I could not see any relatives of Nirav Modi here. We have to remember that the UK is still in lockdown, and there are only 9 people could be inside the courtroom in where we are allowed to sit, despite lots of chairs being there. So unlike in Mallya's case, where the family members turned up, and there was usually a lot of drama before and after and during the hearing, in this hearing it was quite quiet. The court, there were not many people inside, and Nirav Modi joined via video link.
All right, Lavina, stay with us. I'm cutting it across.